Hey everyone, I wanted to take a moment today to talk to you about making bad art. This is something I've been thinking about a lot lately, especially since for the past week I haven't really felt motivated to draw. I've been doing a lot of other things like knitting and writing. I've been working on a novel that I'm currently trying to edit so I can start sending it out. But I haven't really drawn all that much, and I've been thinking a lot about this YouTube channel in particular, especially since last week when I was doing the voiceover, I mentioned the fact that I was hesitant when I was painting to do something that I wanted to do because I was afraid it wasn't going to look good, and I wanted it to look good if it was going to go on YouTube. And I questioned why I felt that way, because nobody's perfect. When you make art, your art is not going to always be consistently good. When you start out as a kid, what you do is you scribble. You scribble, you make shapes, you make lines, you make a really cruddy drawing of a cat. But what's behind that art is a lot of joy. You throw a lot of crayons around. Sometimes something good comes out of it, but mostly what you're getting out of the art is joy. And I feel like maybe that's something that I've lost, or maybe is something that is kind of out of focus for a lot of people, especially since for artists, in order to become known these days, you essentially have to have a YouTube and Instagram, things like that, if you want to be out there and participate in the community. So there's kind of like a pressure that if you want to participate in the community, you have to start off already being good. And in a sense, I'm kind of lucky in that way, because I've been drawing for a really, really long time. And I started practicing a lot more in like criticizing my own art and taking steps to improve it for several years now. And particularly when it comes to painting, the past 2 years have been really good to me in practicing a lot and learning a lot from other people watching on YouTube. But I've also gotten away a lot from just like taking out a piece of paper and not being afraid to just throw some pencil down on it, no matter what's going on. So I guess my biggest question here is, why does everything have to be a masterpiece? And I think a lot of that comes from the pressure of being in the community, our fear of judgment, and especially, I know a lot of other artists suffer this, and I'm a stinker for this too as well, not wanting to mess up a notebook. And that's so bizarre, because, you know, notebooks are made for you to, they're made for you to carry around. They're pieces of paper, totally blank. You can put literally whatever you wanted. You could draw anything. You could draw a picture of a bird, you could draw a picture of a butt, and that artist's sketchbook is not gonna look at you and say, hey, why did you do this to me? I guess it's kind of easier with a cheap notebook as opposed to maybe something expensive like this Moleskine notebook that I'm using. Because when I opened it, the first thing I wanted to do was make a really, really nice piece of art. My last sketchbook cost like maybe $5, and I got it at Barnes & Noble, and it had really crappy paper. And I just threw down whatever I wanted on it. But this book has really nice paper. Every single page lies flat. Everything's really textured. Pencil goes down smoothly. Colored pencil goes down smoothly. You can paint on this. And it's also a notebook that was recommended to me by another artist that I follow here on YouTube. So when I see this notebook, I automatically think, oh, I don't want to put anything bad in this. This sketchbook is supposed to show that I'm upping my game. But that's not entirely a good idea, because you can't always create perfect pieces of artwork. I mean, in order to do that, you'd have to put so much pressure on yourself every single time. You'd constantly be erasing. What if you're not in the mood for it that day? the most important thing when you're drawing is to get practice every single day. And if you're practicing every single day, your output is not going to be consistently good every single time. You're going to grow, and in order to grow, you have to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. And if you're not making mistakes, then you're not growing. So if you want to make art, you have to make bad art in order to make better art, in order to see where your flaws are and think, oh, okay, now I can make it better. You look at your art and you try to get it as close to the actual image in your head of what you want it to be. But your hand isn't always going to be able to do that. And the more you look at your art, and therefore the more art that you make, the more you'll be able to think like, oh, okay, I didn't do a really great job making this 3D, this shadow should have gone here, this line should have gone here, stuff like that. So when I sat down to film today, I wanted to make something really nice. But then I had this thought, because this whole train of process has been going on in my head for several days now. And I thought, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go on Pinterest and I'm going to pick 2 pictures of something that I normally wouldn't draw. And I did. I picked a picture of like a close-up of someone's selfie, and I decided to do it in these really whacked out colors. So like purples in the shades and gradients that would make the right shadows and lightness, but in purple, which is obviously not her skin color. And I had a really nice time doing that one, even though like I kept tripping up. And this one is I think it's called a Great Prairie Chicken, but don't quote me on that. I just saw the bird on Instagram, on Pinterest, I'm sorry. And it looks so funny that I had to draw it. And man, it's bad art. But I had a really fun time drawing this bird because it was really funny. Like, it's just a funny looking bird, and it was really fun to try to get that done in colored pencil. I wasn't planning on going to do it in colored pencil. I was just going to do normal graphite. But then, like, this bird is so wicked colorful, especially that, like, I don't know what it is. Its neck? It's in like a neck sack, but it's this weird, bright, vivid yellow color. And I just had to color that in since I was already using colored pencils for the gradients of the skin in the portrait above. And I had such a fun time doing this page. Like, it looks bad. And if I go back in a sketchbook a few years later, I'm going to look at this and say, oh, this wasn't a very good painting. But I had so much fun doing this. So I just want to take this time to tell you, please make art. No matter what, make art. It doesn't always have to be good. It's going to be bad sometimes. But no matter what, just make art.